The watermelon boss Ross wins in Talladega, and the big one shakes up the points. All that and more coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a good Monday. We'll be doing the live stream for hitting 5K on Tuesday at 6 p.m. until whenever. So hopefully I will see you there. Bring your questions or bring your topics that you want to talk about. I will see you there. All right, Ross Chastain wins the Talladega race, and he did it with an amazing last lap move, or lack of a move, actually, to better characterize it. Of course, the last lap, he got a good push from Austin Dillon, and he gave a heck of a push to Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson had to do something with the momentum. He flared out to try to pass Erik Jones. Erik Jones blocked him, but as he flared out, either he didn't know Kurt Busch was beside him or he didn't care, depending on your viewpoint. And when he got into Kurt Busch spins and triggers the big one behind him. So that was the big one of the big ones, actually, in this race that cost a lot of cars a good finish, and at the very least cost them some parts. But as he did that, Erik Jones went up to block Kyle Larson, and that gave Austin Dillon the opportunity to push Ross Chastain and himself to a 1-2 finish. Ross Chastain gets the win, and the Watermelon Boss smashes another one on the ground. So it was a good race for Ross Chastain, a good race again for Trackhouse. Daniel Suarez was on the outside pole. Unfortunately, he was caught up in a wreck before this, but he had a fast car too. So Trackhouse, once again, looking really, really good this season. But let's take a look at that top 10. Of course, Ross Chastain, Austin Dillon finishing second. Austin Dillon out of nowhere there. Kyle Busch finishes third. Kyle Larson ends up fourth after that last lap move. Martin Truex sneaks in there for fifth. Erik Jones, who was leading, unfortunately gets sixth place. Sixth place, a good finish, but man, he really looked like he had a chance there. Chase Elliott gets seventh. Michael McDowell carrying the flag for Ford in eighth place. Good finish for him, and he continues his reputation as a plate track master. Alex Bowman is ninth, and Kevin Harvick sneaks in there for 10th, and Ryan Blaney 11th, and Justin Haley 12th. So we didn't see an upset driver shake up the points like I was hoping for, but what we did see shake up the points is a couple of big wrecks. So let's take a look at the points real quick and discuss what went on. At the top, of course, are all of your drivers who have won a race, but if you slide down here to 9th place, Chase Elliott, the first guy he's actually leading the points technically, but it doesn't matter because he doesn't have a win. So those guys will be bumped in front of him. But Chase Elliott with 368 is leading your points in 10th. Then you got Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., Eric Almirola, Kevin Harvick, Austin Dillon, and Christopher Bell would be your last guy in right now. Let's talk about Christopher Bell real quick. He had a terrible start to this season where he DNF'd every single race, but he has really turned it around. He is now the last guy in. But let's look at the first guy out here. Tyler Reddick is your first guy out, followed by Erik Jones, Kurt Busch, and Daniel Suarez. And this is what I was talking about the other week when I was like, Tyler Reddick needs to be more upset when he gets taken out for a race win, because last week he could have been locked into the playoffs, because in this particular format, wins are really the only thing that matter. And now he is, if the season ended today, not even in the playoffs. And that's what I'm talking about. You don't have to get in a fight with the guy, but you can't shake his hand and act like it's not a big deal either, because it is a big deal. Because last week you were like 8th in points. This week you're out of the playoffs because of one bad finish. Like, these wins are super important in this particular format. And, well, you had bad luck today. The ECR engine blew, and now you're out of the playoffs. So that was the overall point I was making. And if you're Chase Briscoe, of course you got to go for it. Yeah, I'm not going to get into it again. You know where I stand on it. But Tyler Reddick, Erik Jones, Daniel Suarez, Kurt Busch, all those guys sitting outside of the top 16 in points, those are all guys who have run really well this year and are very capable of getting above that cutoff line where Christopher Bell currently sits. But with the multiple winners we've had this season, particularly Austin Cindric, who is sitting about 16th or 15th in regular points, and Denny Hamlin, who was sitting well outside of the top 20 in points, That is what's really making this cutoff line battle start to heat up, because we have a ton of winners and there are some good cars that are going to miss the playoffs because they're just not going to have enough points to point their way in if they can't get a win. So I expect this season to get a lot more aggressive going forward. All right, we have talked about the guys that had a good race. Now let's talk about the guys who had a bad race. Of course, I'm just going to go with RCR. Reddick, Hemrick, Greg Biffle, they all blew engines. I don't know what's going on with the ECR engines made by RCR, but this is the second week in a row that we have seen some type of engine problem. So I think it is safe to say at this point that the RCR Alliance turnaround, I think we know where the turnaround's coming from. They are getting really aggressive with the horsepower, it looks like. So they're running those things on a razor thin edge, which I like. I love it. But when it blows up and goes wrong, it blows up and goes wrong. But I like the fact that they're getting after it and chasing, chasing wins with some horsepower. It was another bad race for Ford. The best finishing Ford car was 8th. This is typically a track that Ford dominates. And not only that, but like Brad Keselowski, who had a really fast car, would not stop speeding on pit road. And actually Ross Chastain got a speeding penalty too, but came back from it. Was a lap down at one point. Came back from a lap down to win this race. But Brad Keselowski had a speeding penalty. Then he got another speeding penalty. He had a really fast car. Never recovered. So it was typically Ford dominates at these super speedways, but today that was not the case. And finally, just to clear up the Kyle Busch free agency situation, here's what Toyota boss David Wilson had to say. Our vision, Joe's and our vision, Toyota's vision, is for Kyle to retire out of the Joe Gibbs Racing and Toyota. He's clearly a little frustrated, and that's understandable to a point. A little disappointed that he voiced it, to be fair, but he knows, because Joe talks to him a lot of the time how hard we are collectively working to make sure that we have a place for him as long as he wants to stay. So there you go. Like I said, it was a negotiating tactic from Kyle Busch. He knows they want him to stay. He is just irritated that he doesn't have a contract in front of him. So Kyle Busch will be staying most likely with Toyota in the foreseeable future. So like I said, on Twitter and on the last video, it was much ado about nothing. It is a negotiating tactic from Kyle Busch. All right, that is all I've got for you. If you got a comment, leave it down in the comment section. If you made it this far, feel free to subscribe down below. And other than that, thanks for your time. Peace.